The human pilot, clad of their custom-outfitted fit, sat within the cramped cockpit in their ship, the Elpis. The air changed into thick with anticipation and the low hum of computers. They adjusted their seat one final time, checking the readouts at the console. Everything regarded correct. They took a deep breath and glanced on the group, who had been additionally busy with their personal preparations. The deliver turned into a surprise of engineering, a graceful arrowhead of metallic and glass, designed in particular for this assignment. The pilot had spent countless hours within the simulator, practicing their maneuvers and getting to know the intricacies of the deliver structures. Now, as they strapped themselves in, they felt a mixture of pleasure and trepidation. The crew consisted of 5 extraterrestrial beings, every with their very own unique ability set. There was the tall, gangly Xyloxian navigator, whose long fingers danced throughout a panel covered in unfamiliar symbols. The short, stocky Drell engineer, whose arms appeared to recognize instinctively how to function the overseas controls. The lithe, sleek Vulpine scientist, who floated effortlessly through the air, her interest fixed on a holographic show. The large, armored Tauric safety officer, whose bulk regarded out of vicinity inside the confines of the deliver, but whose presence instilled experience of safety and security. And ultimately, the diminutive, wispy-haired Aprilli, the deliver's medic, who hovered near the pilot, her delicate capabilities set in a decided expression. The pilot checked out every of them, nodding reassuringly. All right, anybody, allows do that. We're heading into the void. No one's ever made it again from there. But we can. We're going to chart a path through the unknown, and we're going to do it collectively. Are you with me? There were murmurs of settlement, and the crew settled into their stations. The pilot gave one very last test in their personal readouts, then engaged the engines. The Elpis shuddered in short because it became hurled forward, accelerating closer to the void at an exceptional tempo. The pilot felt the familiar thrill of flight, of being one with their ship, as they left regarded space behind and plunged into the brilliant unknown. The void stretched out earlier than them, an endless void of darkness punctuated through the occasional flicker of mild from distant stars. The pilot flipped a transfer, and the ship's cameras scanned the surrounding region, trying to find any sign of risk or opportunity. The team stored a close watch on their shows, tracking each quirk and anomaly. Hours passed, then days, with no alternate within the surroundings. The pilot commenced to marvel in the event that they were going within the right direction. They became to the Xyloxian navigator, who shook their head. We are, Captain. According to my calculations, we are heading in the right direction. It's simply unusual out here. The pilot nodded, however could not shake the feeling that something become amiss. They determined to talk over with the Vulpine scientist, who have been studying the readings from the deliver sensors. I've been reading the facts, she stated, her voice soft and measured. It appears that there may be a slight gravity nicely beforehand, folks. Could be a rogue planet or an synthetic assemble of a few kind. The pilot taken into consideration this information, weighing the dangers in opposition to the potential rewards. All right, allows check out. But be careful. We don't know what we're managing out here. The Elpis changed direction, heading towards the gravity nicely. The group braced themselves as the deliver turned into buffeted by using atypical forces, the engine straining to maintain manage. After what seemed like an eternity, they emerged from the opposite side, revealing a massive, shining town, floating inside the darkness. The pilot stared in awe on the sight earlier than them. They stated, a mixture of wonder and disbelief in their voice. I bet we determined something. The vulpine scientist floated over to the pilot station, her eyes scanning the readouts. Indeed, she answered. According to my evaluation, this city is not like anything we have encountered earlier than. It seems to be a fusion of organic and inorganic substances, with era far surpassing something we have seen. The large Tauric security officer set free a low rumble that appeared to echo through the deliver. We have to approach with warning, they warned. This will be a lure. The Aprilli, the ship's medic, nodded in agreement. I've run a short scan, and the sensors are picking up a few unusual energy signatures. There could be defenses we are no longer aware of. The pilot taken into consideration their options cautiously. All right, they stated ultimately. Let's proceed carefully. We'll fly in close, but now not too near, and preserve our weapons ready. Aprilli, you're with me. Xyloxian, you have got the con. Science, security, maintain an eye fixed on those readouts. Let's see what this vicinity has to provide. The Elpis glided towards the floating metropolis, its weapon systems on the prepared. The group maintained a decent watch on their shows, their palms hovering over controls. As they drew closer, the information of the town began to emerge from the darkness, revealing a kaleidoscope of lighting fixtures and abnormal shapes. The pilot felt a mixture of awe and apprehension as they organized to make contact. This became it, the moment of reality. They had ventured into the void, and they had located something. Now they must find a way to continue to exist it. The vulpine scientist persevered to examine the readouts, her ears perked ahead. The energy signatures are nevertheless spiking, she stated. We ought to be organized for something. The Aprilli nodded in settlement, her palms moving with practiced ease as she checked the Deliver's medical structures. The Tauric safety officer flexed his large shoulders, his eyes constant at the view screen. We're in variety, the Xyloxian navigator introduced. Should I make touch? The pilot considered the question for a moment, weighing the risks in opposition to the capability rewards. They had no concept what waited for them on the other facet of that calm sign. But they knew they could not flip lower back now. Do it, they stated, their voice steady. See what they have got to mention. The navigator complied, keying within the transmission code and starting a channel to the metropolis. After a quick pause, unusual, alien voice filled the bridge. Who goes there? It requested, its tone impartial. The pilot took a deep breath and replied, this is Captain of the Elpis. We mean no damage. We just discovered your town. Floating right here, and we wanted to look if you had any idea how it came or what is taking place. There changed into an extended pause earlier than the alien voice responded. Welcome, Captain, Jit stated. We are the Osram, the keepers of this metropolis. We were awaiting you. The pilot glanced at their team, questioning what the Osram supposed by means of that. The Aprilli shrugged, her expression unreadable. The Tauric safety officer growled softly, his gaze constant at the view screen. The Xyloxian navigator appeared involved, her ears twitching nervously. The vulpine scientist continued to have a look at the readouts, her eyes darting back and forth as she tried to make experience of the records. We have been monitoring your progress via the void, the Osram persevered. You have confirmed yourselves' worth to be right here. We invite you to dock at our main port and proportion understanding and reports with us. The pilot hesitated for a moment, weighing the dangers and rewards of accepting the invitation. They glanced at their team yet again, looking for steering. The Aprilli spoke up. We have to take them up on their offer, she said. It's an excessive amount of a coincidence for us to just forget about them. And who is aware of what else might be available? The Tauric protection officer grunted in agreement, his big chest growing and falling progressively. The Xyloxian navigator nodded, her expression careful but hopeful. The Vulpine scientist appeared intrigued, her tail swishing backward and forward behind her. The pilot considered their alternatives carefully. This changed into a choice that might form the fate of their crew and their ship. But they couldn't shirk their responsibilities now. With a deep breath, they radioed lower back to the Osram. All right, they stated. We take delivery of your invitation. Docking commands, please. The alien voice responded with a hard and fast of coordinates and docking instructions. As the Elpis glided in the direction of the town, the crew remained on excessive alert, their palms hovering over controls and gun systems. They knew that they were entering the unknown, however they were prepared to stand whatever lay ahead. Together, they might navigate the mysteries of the void and discover the secrets and techniques that waited for them at the floating city of the Osram. The docking maneuver turned into perfect, and the Elpis gracefully connected itself to the main port. The airlock cycled, and the crew of 6 emerged into a huge, open chamber. The walls were embellished with problematic carvings and sparkling lights that sold a warm, amber glow across the floor. The air was thick with the scent of uncommon spices and alien flowers. An institution of 6 individuals stood watching for them, everyone fairly alien in appearance. The Osram have been humanoid in form, with pores and skin tones ranging from pale blue to deep green. They wore flowing robes that billowed round them as they moved, their capabilities delicately embellished with intricate rings and headdresses. As the crew of the Elpis approached, the Osram bowed respectfully, their hands pressed collectively in front of them in a gesture of welcome. Their leader progressed. "A captain of the Elpis," he said, his voice easy and melodic. "We were eagerly looking forward to your arrival. We are the Osram, the keepers of this city, and we're honored with the aid of your presence." The captain of the Elpis nodded in return, their gaze taking inside the beauty and elegance of the Osram's environment. "We too are honored to be right here," they said. "We hope that our presence could be a gain to both of our humans." The two businesses stood together, changing well-mannered conversation and questions on their respective cultures. The Osram had been eager to study the Elpis and its team, while the captain and their group had been equally curious about the city and its inhabitants. As they talked, the Vulpine scientist slipped away from the institution, exploring the facet chambers and laboratories that branched off from the primary chamber. The Tauric safety officer trailed closely in the back of, his senses alert to any potential threats. The Aprilli and Xyloxian group contributors remained nearby, keen to soak up each detail of their new environment. Hours surpassed in communication and discovery. The Osram shared their understanding of the city and its history, revealing that it became no longer, in fact, a floating city in any respect. Rather, it became a vessel, designed to traverse the void between worlds. They had been traveling for generations, looking for a global that would welcome them and percentage their knowledge. And now, they believed, they discovered such an area in the Elpis and its crew. As the sun started to set, casting a warm glow via the open portals, the Vulpine scientist and Tauric protection officer lower back from their explorations. The scientist become brimming with new thoughts, keen to begin experiments and share their findings with the Osram. The safety officer stated that the whole thing regarded stable, however they could hold a heightened nation of alert although. The Aprilli and Xyloxian group contributors, meanwhile, had fashioned a close bond with their Osram counterparts, trading testimonies and songs overdue into the night. The captain of the Elpis, impressed through the Osram's hospitality and wisdom, presented to share a number of their own era and information in Go Back. The Osram, equally intrigued with the aid of the Elpis and its group, eagerly ordinary. As they sat together inside the notable chamber, overlooking the full-size expanse of the void, it had become clean that this became the start of a brand new chapter in the history of both their peoples. They would paintings collectively, learn from one another, and discover the infinite possibilities that lay before them. And so, because the stars started to twinkle within the darkness of the void, the group of the Elpis and the Osram knew that their fates were irrevocably intertwined.